Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Jason Rubin, Steve O, Turks and Jerks of the week. We already posted the Jerk segment. Check it out. Time for Turks. Let's go over here, and we'll start with Jason.
I think, although it's not NFL related, I think it is important to mention that the Missouri protest, if you've been following that at all, Tom Wolf did resign today from Missouri presidency after, including and I guess the Turk in this one. And granted, I don't necessarily totally agree with the idea of giving an ultimatum as like a final solution towards it, but Jonathan Butler went on a hunger strike. He was a graduate student there, and he literally said, I will either die of starvation or Tom Wolf will resign from presidency. And when it just shows that from the football perspective of it, that all the black players in the team stood by it, and then the coaches and the rest of the team came and supported them in this protest, and it just kind of showed overall that there's strength in numbers, and you can make a difference in that way, and you got to stand up for what you believe in. Therefore, Turk of the Week goes to the Missouri football team, guys like Jonathan Butler, and at least Tom Wolf for seeing the writing on the wall and getting the hell out of there. So important to mention for that reason. But to the NFL, two people: Mike Zimmer, coach of the Vikings, elected to defend on the coin toss in the overtime. He trusted his defense, which I think is great for the Vikings. It's a lot of confidence in there. And he also realized that the wind was causing havoc on kickers. Greg Zerlin hit a 61-yard field goal with the wind. Granted, he might have a leg to do it without the wind. And then
badly missed.
Well, and you saw it, but it was a 48-yard field goal, and it took like
just went right. Took a right turn.
Looked like a big league curveball. It just dove right down to the right. And Zimmer trusted it. Also, Zimmer, after the game, was very upset with Jeff Fisher and Greg Williams, saying that he'd basically meet him in the parking lot to fight him, which I thought would have been a
he really
great
fight. He called Fisher out. He called Williams out specifically, and I like that.
Shows our team has a lot of heart, a lot of fight. These guys work hard every single day. They bust their rear ends to get better. I'm proud of this football team. I would say if we were out in the street, we probably would have had a fight. And I do know that there's a history there of their defensive coordinator. I'll leave it at that. We're a disciplined football team. We do things right. That's why we lead that's why we are the least penalized team in the league, because we play by the rules. We continue to play by the rules, and just because other teams don't do it doesn't mean we're going to do it.
I don't like the first part of your argument. There's no nobility in trusting your defense.
Well, but it's smart. So
you have to trust your defense anyway.
So Belichick did this, and of course it's two sides of this. One, if it fails, if they score a touchdown, if the Rams score a touchdown, it's a dumb call by Mike Zimmer, but they didn't, and it worked, and I'm going to give him the credit for that, because Belichick did this to Brady in Foxborough in overtime after the Patriots had that wild comeback against the Broncos.
When was this?
In 2013.
With the same overtime rule?
With the same overtime rule.
It only is a good decision because of the wind. Like, I'll grant it. I'm just talking about the first part. There's no tough guy part of it. Like, there's the tough guy part. Tough guy thinking is dumb thinking in the NFL. But the wind mattered. So rather taking the wind, thinking that gives us a real advantage, that's a tactical decision.
That's being smart.
That's being smart. So I like that part of the decision.
Yeah, and
so in that sense, I like it.
And it's absolutely time to mention them, because we never give them credit, and not just because the comment section is going to have my head if I don't. Derek Carr / Rich Gannon. Get the Turk of the Week mention. Carr's got 19 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on the year. He's completing 63.7% of his passes. He's avoiding more sacks. He got sacked 24 times in 16 games. Started last season, only 8 this year, which shows that the offensive line has improved, but also it looks like Derek Carr is being a little more mobile. I think he's the first, and the reason I mentioned Rich Gannon is I think he's going to be the first to go have these kind of stats through the first 8 games since Rich Gannon did it in 2001.
Yeah, he's the first one since Rich Gannon to have 3 games in a row where he threw for 3 touchdowns or more.
That was it. Okay, thank you, Steve.
You only need to look at you can see a Raider game for 4 minutes, and you're like, okay, that guy's good. Like, that's different. This is a different situation.
We don't give them any credit.
Yeah.
We should. The Raiders deserve a little bit of credit. They're 4-4.
I think Jack Del Rio should get a lot of
Jack
should get a lot of credit too, because the whole team just looks more competent, more confident, and it starts with Carr, of course.
Yeah.
But Murray's playing well. Amari Cooper's a huge addition. Michael Crabtree he's finally productive in the NFL.
Yeah, speaking of defensive breakdowns, by the way, maybe don't leave Amari Cooper with 30 yards in every direction, wide open in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, look, I was reading before the season started from Raiders beat writers, because I'm an A's fan, so I read the paper there a lot, and I follow some of those guys too, even though I'm not a Raiders fan. But they were saying it's different. It just is different.
Yeah, the culture is different.
The culture is different, and the play, and not just culture. Players are better, and
Yeah.
but that's because there's some smart decision makers there for a change, and they made some great calls. Derek Carr was a great pick. Amari Cooper was a great pick. But also every week we could name Charles Woodson. I mean, this guy's he's 125 years
He
old.
leads the league in interceptions.
He's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he almost had another one. I mean, what's great is we're going to go through the Turks of the week, and we're not going to name
Cam Newton.
we're not going to name Antonio Brown.
Well, that was my guy.
I mean, it is. Okay, good.
Because the jerk could go to the.
All right, well, let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
get to
absolutely.
Antonio.
Yeah, so my Turk of the week is Antonio Brown. Insane.
Yeah. 23
targets, 17 catches, 284 yards. That's bonkers. That's nuts.
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in today's NFL, I guess it's not as unusual because there's so much passing, and Julio Jones had similar stats a few weeks ago. But, I mean, that is a receiver absolutely dominating a game. I mean, anything thrown in his direction, he's catching. He had that beautiful over-the-shoulder catch. He's not a huge guy. He's not a Julio Jones. He's not a Calvin Johnson. But he's fast. He's quick. He has unbelievable hands and great coordination, timing, and chemistry. And it's unusual to see a receiver dominate a game like this. I remember watching Jerry Rice as a kid doing this, and there was a game when Jerry Rice and the Niners played against the Cowboys in Dallas with Elvis Gerbach, and all the talk was about how the Cowboys are kick ass, and Jerry Rice took exception, and he came out and he just dominated the game from the receiver position, which I didn't think was possible. And I'm seeing that now from Antonio Brown. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's artistry. It's great to watch.
But you saw in Brown how great he plays with Roethlisberger and how incompetent how he's lost without him. So we'll see because
He caught as many passes yesterday as he did all the weeks that Roethlisberger was out.
And you can see, I have Brown and Bryant and Le'Veon Bell, now D'Angelo Williams on my team. I'm Steeler loaded. And it's just, my team is pretty good when Roethlisberger plays, and they're incompetent when he doesn't. And in Brown, so I'm watching him game after game, his frustration level is intense because he's like, I got it. I'm not open by 10 yards. I'm open by a half a yard. Throw it.
Yeah, just throw it in the general direction and I'll get it.
By the way, the news on Roethlisberger for Steeler fans is pretty good. For fantasy fans, it's tough because he's not going to play for at least 2 weeks, but avoided a significant fracture. It's a sprain. He's going to miss a couple of weeks. And say what you want about Roethlisberger, and there are a lot of things to say about him. He's tough, and he's hard to hurt badly. So that's good news for the Steelers from a competitive point of view, that they can maybe survive a couple of weeks and get him back and stay in the playoff race, because they're fighting for 1 or 2 wild cards. They're not catching the Bengals. That division is probably won by the Bengals, so they're in a serious fight. And that game, that Raider game,
that was huge.
That was huge. That's a huge game because both those teams figure to be around them again.
It's going to be down to, I think, the Jets, Steelers, and the Raiders to fight for the 2 playoff spots, 2 wild card spots.
That's probably right. Hard to see anybody else. Maybe Buffalo. But maybe Buffalo getting
They're
back
too
in.
inconsistent, but yeah.
So speaking of Buffalo, my Turk of the week, one of them is Sammy Watkins. Taylor completed 11 passes yesterday. He completed 3 passes to guys who weren't Sammy Watkins. And he caught 8 passes for 168 yards. Again, from a non-elite quarterback, and Buffalo fans complaining that they spent too much to get him. Maybe they did spend too much to get him, but the fact is he's an elite player. And we don't imagine what he would do with a top-level NFL quarterback. Even if, imagine if he's on the Falcons instead of, if he has Julio Jones' spot. My hunch is he's coming pretty close to Julio Jones' number. And you see a guy get 8 for 168 from Taylor. That's pretty impressive, and it won them the game. Huge touchdown, a huge deep ball, the ball that he juggled. He's an elite player, and I'm just glad to see him shutting people up. My other Turk of the week, as I've decided to just simply name 2, is this guy. It was a 14 parlay in Vegas. I don't even know the casino. And this guy took the Jets on the money line at minus 335 and took the Patriots at minus 1,600. That only added about $5,000 or $6,000 to this total. It's a pretty big risk, but they weren't going to lose. That said, I would have left them out. And then he took a couple of overs. The Titans and the Saints that went over 47.5. What was the fun? They didn't even need the overtime for that, so he had that bet. And then look at that last thing there. Giants, Buccaneers, over 49.5. That game score was 26-14 when the Giants kicked off with 6 seconds to play.
Yeah, 26-18.
26-18. 26-18, 44 points. And then the Buccaneers tried to throw it around. They tried to Miami duke it up, and that ball bounced off an offensive lineman's hands at the 4-yard line. It gets picked up and run in from inside of 3 yards. He didn't even celebrate. He was like, oh, I guess I just scored. It didn't even seem like it counted. Right. They didn't try the extra point. If it had been 50 and a half, they lose. But that did. He needed 6 points. He got 6 points right there to go over 49 and a half. That was, put that up one more time again. That was 20,000 to win 100,500. That's an $80,000 play for that guy on that play. That is unbelievable. Such a great, great gambling moment. I hope whoever made that parlay never forgets it.
He rolled all 100,000 over on the Falcons on the money line.
I would like to point out to him though that that he did risk $20,000 on a 14 parlay in the NFL, and that's insane. But nonetheless, congratulations. That seems like a guy who's probably taken some horrific losses in his life.
I'm sure he has.
So I'm very happy that he had that $80,000 win. That's a great, great, great thing. Anyway, congratulations to our newly. That money is already blown on the Bears tonight. You know. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's Turks and Jerks. Steve and Jason, thanks very much. Check out that was our Turks segment. Check out Jurks. Already posted. Subscribe below. Thank you.